Everybody, welcome back to my channel, 8 Up Bass Fishing. Thanks for checking us out today. Today's video is going to be breaking down Lake Okeechobee. That's right, the Big O. My next club tournament is going to be a 2-day tournament there. There are tons of videos out there talking about different places in Lake Okeechobee. I'm going to be breaking down a few key places that I plan on concentrating on with my 2 days of practice. I'm going to try and eliminate as much water as I can. The areas I'm focusing on are very popular. They're also very large areas, so I'm going to go through them and do the best I can. Don't forget, if you like what you're seeing, help me out. Hit that like button below. Leave me a comment. Tell me how I'm doing. Tell me what you'd like to see. And as always, subscribe and share with your friends so I can keep this content coming for you guys. Thanks. Here we go. Lake Okeechobee. This is from the Seminole Indian word for big water. This is a huge lake here in the state of Florida. It is filled by the watershed of the Kissimmee River as it flows to the south from the Kissimmee chain of lakes. This water flow continued out the bottom of Lake Okeechobee historically, which formed the headwaters for the Everglades, and that flow continued well on into Florida Bay. Years of continued government intervention, big money sugarcane, and overdevelopment in the region has had a huge, massive transformation of the entire system, much to the detriment of Lake O and its surrounding ecosystems, all the way through down to the Everglades. Um, these ongoing problems are created mainly by ourselves, and only we can do something to stop them. I encourage each of you to take some time, study the history of Lake Okeechobee and the Everglades, as well as the ongoing struggles that we're having today. There are several groups that are working to help the lake, such as Anglers for Lake Okeechobee or Save Lake O, plus there's a bunch of others. Take a look. I'm going to put some links in the websites below in the description. But it is a problem that we do need to address without getting too overly political right now. But Lake O is in trouble, as well as a lot of the regions in South Florida, starting up at the Kissimmee chain of lakes. So I encourage you to take a look and see if there's anything you feel like you can do. Lake O is a huge body of water, the third largest lake in the continental United States, completely within the boundaries of the continental United States. There's so much water, weeks to fish everything available and take a look at. 730 square miles to make up Lake O. It's not quite round, kind of oblong, kind of funny shaped. From your furthest point north down to the lowest point on the south is approximately 36 miles in a straight line. At its widest point, going across, is 29 miles. Again, that is a lot of water. As you can see on the map, the western shoreline from where the Kissimmee River comes in, going around, has the most vegetation and provides a lot of your fishing opportunities. Not that there's not as much over here, but it is not as heavily vegetated and so forth, and does not tend to fish as well as some of the areas that I'll be going over and looking at. For my 2 days of practice, I'm biting off 3 pretty big chunks of the lake that I will concentrate on. The first of which would be running from the ramp up towards the north. This area that I will be concentrating on is part of Indian Prairie and up through Ten House. You have the Indian Prairie Canal coming in here. You have another canal that runs out of Buckhead. This is a very popular area. I will be concentrating on that, looking at some different stuff. Your Ten House Cove is right here. That's going to be a good chunk. Very popular fishing up in there. Very crowded at times. The next area I will be looking at is basically staying really close to home is you have this area over here known as Harney Pond and Fish Eating Bay, obviously very close to the ramp. Again, there's some good fishing opportunities. These areas can be fairly well protected even in bad weather. And the final area is another huge chunk of an area, basically covering everything from Dynamite Pass area up this way through Moonshine Bay and into the Monkey Box area. This whole area right here, again, provides a lot of the fishing opportunities on Lake Okeechobee. Popular spots can get pretty crowded at times, but it's also such a massive area that it takes quite a bit of time to break it down. So 3 main areas that I'll be concentrating on, and I'll go through all 3 of those areas for us. Okay, so the first area I'm going to go over is the area between Indian Prairie Canal up through Tin House Cove. This area, if you watched any of the most recent tournaments on TV from such as Major League Fishing or the BASS tournament, there are some areas in this where you saw video clips where there's just boats stacked up. People still catching fish, but it can be a very high traffic area. And as I mentioned earlier, the traveling from the boat ramp to the north, if you get some bad weather, especially some big winds, can make it a little unnerving at times. From the ramp coming out up to this cove outside of the Indian Prairie Canal is just over 11 miles, almost 11 and a half miles. In this area, you have a lot of different boat lanes that you don't see traveling back and through here. It breaks up all the vegetation you see into layers, where you can work your way back and forth. The travel lanes are fairly wide. You can find good fishing a lot of times at some of the intersections of 2 different travel lanes. It opens up into flats, which can be covered with eelgrass, a mix of eelgrass and hydrilla. You have lots of reeds, you have lily pad fields, a lot of different areas and so forth to look at. I'm going to be looking at as much as I can, trying to eliminate water as fast as I can, working myself all the way up into this area, which is known as Tin House Cove. So all through here, this is a massive section of water, roughly from this canal coming out of Buckhead to the Indian Prairie Canal. All this area across in through here is roughly 18 square miles. Again, that's way too much to consider a spot, so I will definitely be looking for much smaller areas to break down and mark on my GPS. As you can see with the satellite imaging, when you get back in through here, there are again many little cuts that you can run back into the interior, and a lot of these places you can find a lot of clean water and so forth, and that's what you're going to be looking for. So that would again be your Tin House, Indian Prairie, and so forth there. So my next area of concentration for my practices would be the areas very close to the boat ramp. Again, the boat ramp is about here. You run out through this canal into over on the north side. This area up along in here, up through Dice's Ditch, is considered Harney Pond. On the other side, out in here, this is Fish Eating Creek Bay, which does have its named tributary of Fish Eating Creek, which can at times be moving some water in or out of the lake. These 2 areas again offer some back area vegetation where you can get in the middle of the stuff. It's a lot thicker in areas here. This is very conducive to a lot of flipping and pitching up against stuff. Out along the edges here, you do also get a lot of sparse vegetation, some hydrilla and so forth that during times other than the spawn. The fish will stack up out here, and more so than be more open waters, giving you opportunities to find them there. Again, as a whole, it's a pretty big area to fish, but there's a lot of good opportunities. And again, you don't have to go very far, especially if weather's inclement. You can find some very good fishing opportunities that are somewhat protected from any kind of bad weather, and still have yourself a good day in this area. Okay, so for this 2-day tournament, the final area of concentration is again yet another huge area. A lot of water in this area. The points I'm using are more defining points, so hopefully I can eliminate some water in these smaller areas within it and eliminate and come up with some actual good spots for me to fish and mark. The area I'm talking about is just to the south of the boat ramp, the Dynamite Pass area, over here to Cochran's Pass. Up in here, a lot of you will have heard of, is the area known as Moonshine Bay, and then a very famous area as well known as the Monkey Box. There are many cuts in and out and through the reed lines and the vegetation. You can really get yourself back into some areas and just find some wonderful honey holes. But I do highly recommend you make sure you have GPS. Unless you really know the area, you have a GPS with the ability to mark your trails so you can follow your way out. Because if you get off any of the main canals and trails, you can wind around forever, get yourself fishing and turned around, and spend hours trying to figure out which of those paths take you back to a main travel channel so you can get yourself home. So having the ability to mark these trails is very important for yourself. You have a couple main travel areas through Cochran's Pass. As I pointed out, here is a fairly main and heavy travel lane. This is an actual cut canal with some markers. It is the Moorhaven Canal. It runs all the way down and connects at the south where the Rim Canal is, and of course that is where the Caloosahatchee River would run out after the other side of the dike, heading towards southwest Florida. This is again a main canal cut out. What happened when they dug this out? Of course, they piled some of the debris to make it a little bit deeper on either side, creating a bit of a spoil on either side. As you go down this main travel channel, you'll see breaks in the spoil where you can cut through, and there'll be small boat lanes where you can try and start your adventure traveling through and looking. Another main pass, as I pointed out earlier, when you come out, is you can come in here through the McTush Canal, which will again join up with the Rim Canal right where Fish Eating Creek enters into the lake. This, again, has been cut out somewhat, so it's very navigable. A lot of the same thing, you can find cuts through up into these areas to work yourself into some of these backwaters. Again, with the Monkey Box, same thing. A lot of just little areas out in here. As I zoom in a little, you can see some of the lines showing up a little better that are boat cut throughs. I mean, it's just a maze of different cuts coming down in through towards Moonshine Bay, and again down towards Cochran's Pass. The maze of areas that you can go. As you can see too, when you get where you can't see much up above about 5 foot because of the vegetation, you can just find yourself lost back in there if you don't have a way to track yourself out of it. Again, it's another huge area of water for me to break down, but I will again try and go through and eliminate as much as I can, looking to find 1, 2, 3 spots in each area that I can use for the tournament. As I started off saying, big water. This lake is huge. The 3 key areas I've gone over here are the areas I'm going to concentrate on with my 2 days of practice. This is still a lot of water to cover in only 2 days. I'm going to work on techniques that will allow me to fish very fast and try and eliminate as much of this water as possible as I go through this and prepare for my 2 days. So that's my breakdown on Lake Okeechobee, at least the areas that I'm going to be concentrating on for this tournament. There are so many areas I know I haven't mentioned or named, including South Bay, many other areas that are available, but again, it's just so much water. There's only so much I can do. Not even sure if I can really break down these 3 areas properly, but I'm going to give it my best and let the weather and what I see on the water dictate how much further I go in each area and how much time I spend in each area trying to figure it out. As always, soft plastics are always a big favorite down here in Lake Okeechobee. A variety of worms, creature baits, flipping, punching, speed worms, you name it. They're very popular here. Your moving baits like a swim jig, a chatterbait, they have a lot of action on them as well when you catch your conditions right. And even this time of year, a lot of topwater bite, your frog bite can be a lot of fun. I'm expecting to find fish in some form of all 3 stages of the spawn, be it pre, during, or post spawn. I think the post spawn's probably going to be more of the pattern I'll be looking at, but nothing's ruled out. There's always seems to be a large group that still will come back in March and spawn one more good time before the water really gets hot. So just going to do my best, check everything out. Again, I appreciate you guys watching my channel. Please hit that like button. Show me that you like these videos. Put some comments below. Tell me some things you'd like to see me do in the future. And always subscribe, share with your friends. Help me keep this content rolling for you guys. Thanks again.